Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. You've just witnessed West Ham draw 1-1 with Spurs at the London Stadium. We were looking for something on the back of that drastic loss at Newcastle, the terrible second half at Newcastle, and we got it. We got that bounce back tonight. As much as Spurs were on the front foot, genuinely, I can't think off the top of my head how many crazy opportunities they had. We went a goal down very early, and that could have been an absolute disaster for us tonight. But it wasn't, and it isn't, and it hasn't, and it wasn't. And we're here, and we are where we need to be, which is obviously coming away with a point. You know what? I think a lot of you would have taken that, as I have. I definitely would take that. I thought Zouma. I can't get my head around Zouma as a player, to be honest with you, because he literally looks physically injured at every single occasion I see him. But today, I genuinely believe he's had one of his best games in a West Ham shirt. He was colossal in the back line. He was back to his old self, and he just looked really strong defensively. Spurs are a team that play on the front foot. Spurs are a team that are going to come at you no matter what, come at you left, right, and centre. And I think we dealt with that situation. And to be honest with you, I'm devastated because at one point in that second half, Antonio goes 1-on-1 with the keeper. Antonio goes 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he panics. And I swear to God, he had so much time on the ball, and he didn't put the ball in the back of the net, which he really should have. We had a lot of chances in that game. We really did. But for me, genuinely, we've bounced back. Well, listen, I don't want to get carried away when I say we've bounced back, but it was a better performance in from first half transitioning into the second half compared to what we did against Newcastle. Of course, at certain points in the second half, we sat back, but we are playing a Tottenham side. And then, you know what? As much as they had 68% possession in that game, we had 11 shots to their 13. So we still pushed the boat out. We still challenged. We still kept the ball in their half. They did outpass us dramatically in the game, but we kept all of the balls in their half. They played loads of passes between their keeper and Older Van der Veen and Romero. 655 passes Spurs had to West Ham's 299. But at the end of the day, the goal itself wasn't great to give it away. Lacks of concentration. Defensively, again, allowing. I really thought it was going to be a long day at the office, especially when we gave a goal away so early. And we allowed players like Werner and Maddison to get in at us. And we were backing off, and allowing them to get into the box. And that's where Anthony Gordon was getting so much success against us the weekend there against Newcastle. And we've done it again today. We were starting to put the frighteners up that would happen again today. But we solidified, we brought it back to the situation, and we kept it where it is. And we've done a good job. We've done a good job in the end, a good defensive job, a good low block result, you could say. But yeah, it is what it is. Surreal frame, draw, no injuries, not happy but satisfied. I'm not saying I'm happy, but in comparison to what we saw in the second half, I think we could have imploded amongst ourselves, to be honest. And I think possibly what we've done is maybe the right decision today. I don't know. Gorilla says, hello, good to see you. Mandy G says, great game. Seeger says, Moyes make a sub. People moan. Compared to the other draws this year, Brighton, Palace, Bournemouth, Villa, Forest, I'm not unhappy with that. Yeah, I think if you put Spurs up there the way that Spurs are playing, for us to get a 1-0 draw when we are leaking goals against a team who like to score goals, then it's a good result. I'll take that from the start of the game. Markar says feels like a win as well. Let me have a look here. Richard Fazen, good man. Hope you're well. In Toronto, in Canada, the South African, just don't want to win. Loser mentality. Spurs at home, have a bloody go. I get that, mate. I get that because I want that. But I think we have to be really mindful of the situation when we're coming up against a team who like getting at you when we leak goals, because we do leak goals left, right, and center. And to be honest with you, again, I've just said to you, like, we actually had more big chances than what they had. And remember, think back to all the opportunities we had, and that Antonio chance to put it to bed. Anton, he dragged the defender down. Who did? Hole, I don't know. Just remind me. No changes by Moyes. Thank God we held from Markar. Only 30% possession in the second half, and we are at home. I get that. I get it. But we are up against a very good footballing side, a side that I think we held them. I didn't really, as much as they had a lot of possession at us, I didn't massively feel a huge threat. I really didn't. Never in that game, apart from maybe the first few minutes, did I feel a dramatic threat. It reminds me of the game that we had at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when we blocked the shit out of them and beat them. But when they were coming at us, there was no real threat when they got inside that box. And I didn't feel that threat coming inside the box. I'm actually going to see 4 shots on target. And I can remember, I think their best real chance came from the shot at the end there. I think it was, wasn't it? I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. But yeah, I think our chances were probably above par of where they were. Moyes make a sub, people moan. Doesn't make a sub, people moan. Got to be happy with that performance. I am. We have no subs, only Ings. Good game. At least we competed. And I think that's the point, Trini. I think West Ham competed today, and that's the way it feels. That's the way it felt. We don't have a squad. Leaving Antonio on really helped. Always a threat. And I think what's interesting is that Moyes has blatantly learned from his mistake at Newcastle. He's blatantly learned from his mistake at Newcastle. And the thing is, Antonio's played 90 minutes tonight. And he didn't play the 90 minutes. And we did that tactical decision. But every single one of those players did put an effort in tonight. Defensively, I've got to give them credit. They did well. I thought Emerson, sometimes I felt like he was struggling, but he did well, essentially. Sufal, at the start of the game, for me, I thought he was going to struggle. But yeah, losing mentality for Moyes every time we have a chance to push on. We don't know subs is a joke. We had a goal. What did you want? 9 attacking. We only have 4. That's the 6th game on the trot. They have not won at our place. Absolutely. And they're a threat. They're an absolute massive threat. And we've kept them. BYL, we had 11 shots with 32% possession. They had 13. If we'd attacked them, guess what? We'd have more than 11 shots, my friend. That was boring football. More accurately, Moyes boy, Moyes ball, Moyes out. Mate, I don't agree. I'm not saying that I don't want us to see us attack them a lot more. But I think we did a reasonable job with really some clear-cut chances. Nobody can turn around and say Spurs deserved that any more than what West Ham deserved that. Nobody can. And if you look at the chances, ours were more clear-cut. We had more big opportunities to put the ball into the back of the net, and we didn't. Decent result, but we felt needed a positive change from around 70 minutes. Trouble is our bench is so limited due to poor recruitment. You're right, mate. You are right. And we are like dragging out this season to try and keep well within that top 7 spot, try and do something in Europe with such a small squad. Such a small squad. No matter who you play in the Premier League, it's always going to be hard. You're right. But when you come up against a team like Spurs, as you know, and you don't need me to tell you that, they're such an attacking threat. They made 5 substitutions, and all 5 substitutions were forward-thinking players. Look at the squad depth that they've got. Kulusevski, Sarr, Højbjerg, all creativity, all creative players. Lo Celso, all creative players, players that can get at West Ham's defence. I'm glad there were no changes. The lads were focused. I agree, actually. Yeah, I think if anything, I would have accepted the Danny Ings, like for Antonio. Rich, that Spurs team aren't a threat, and that's why we need to be winning these games. Otherwise, let's just accept mediocrity. We need to push on. I think we can only do that once we have a larger squad, to be honest. Trini says, possession is a useless stat, proves nothing. Most of it is backwards and sideways. And you're right. I definitely agree with you there. I think that a lot of their tactical prowess today was playing the ball sideways and backwards. They did that a lot. West Ham penned them away from our 18-yard box. I'd love to actually see. Let me just see if I can find something that shows how many times and touches there was in the opposition box. Honestly, I don't remember it being. Let me see. I think I've got it. Have I got it? No, I've not. I've not. Just see here while we're on. Just trying to see if I can find anything that shows me um, shots inside the box. So they had 10 shots inside the box. We had 7 shots inside the box. We had 4 from outside it and 3 from outside it. They had 3 keeper saves and we had 3 keeper saves. We had 9 corners to their 5. You know, a lot of our numbers are very, very high in the attacking department. We had 3 block shots to their 4. We had 4 shots off target to their 5. We had 4 shots on target to their 4. We had 11 shots in total to their 13. But again, like you said, ball possession was 67% to them. And even if you take all of our stats, we had a higher expected goals, whether you want to believe in that rule or not. But if you look at all of our stats, they take all those stats into consideration and have said that we've had a higher attack expected goal ratio. We tried. All we need is some legs up front from 70 minutes on. So what's wrong with Mbama? He can run all night and tied up defenders when Antonio gets tired. Cockney Buccaneer, I agree with you there. I think what they've done is they've freshened something up and tried to give it a go come the end. We have possibly consolidated. However, what I will say to you is we knew they were going to get a chance. And when we then created chances for ourselves because they commit bodies forward, I think defensively, I agree with you, Rich. They're not all there, but hey ho. Tottenham Fan TV aren't happy. They want Ange gone. Please tell me you're joking, mate. Please tell me you are joking with that comment. They have a much better squad. If we won on Saturday and then got this draw, we'll all be happy. This was a good result. It is a good result, mate. I think it is a good result. I think it's not the one you want when it's trying to score in the break late in the game. To be honest with you, mate, all I would want in that moment would be a like for like substitution. So it doesn't matter for me if it's Danny Ings for Antonio or if it's Mbama for Antonio. For me, it's like for like. It's key that it's like for like. It has to be like for like because then there's no tactical no tactical change. Obviously, through the middle of the game, which is where we're keeping them to bed, keeping them at bay. I'm happy that it was a good game. Actually, do you know what? A player that I really want to give a bit of credit to tonight was James Ward-Prowse. I really thought he's been stepping up a lot lately, actually, to be honest with you. And I think that rest and rest in the game done him the world of good. He had 37 touches. He had 81% pass completion rate, 2 key passes in the game. But what things I liked about him was he won 50% of his ground duels today. And he made 1 clearance, 1 interception with 1 successful tackle in that game in the opposition box. Antonio could have won it. He could have won it. Except mediocrity, and I can generally say he had to go there. We got some half chances on the break, but that Spurs team is nothing special. I think we got more than half chances, Rich. I really do. Genuinely believe we did. We have no bench. How can you agree with 32% possession at home? Sorry, but no Anton Moyes out. I think it's a interesting topic. It's a very interesting topic to say that a team can have that. But I mean, are you telling me that you felt that we got railroaded? I'm being genuinely truthful. Do you, Cockney Buccaneer, and anyone who wants to read this question out here, how can you agree 32 possession at home? Are you and do you feel that we got railroaded in this game? Because I don't think we did. I don't think we did. So then I'm asking you, are you happier for us to have 50% possession and then be 1-1? Because honestly, I think possessions are really a stat that is sometimes very deceiving. I do, and I'm not digging you out, Cockney Buccaneer, but I think it is a very deceiving stat having all the possession. I want to score goals, compete and win matches. You don't need to dominate possession to do that. It only takes second to score. I agree with that. I really do. James Bong, Spurs weren't a threat because of us, not in spite of us. It's a simple game in it. 4 points against the Spurs. Come on, you Irons. Mate, nail on the head, in my opinion. I thought Zouma had his game of the season today. He did, Mandy. We do have a weak bench. Yep, absolutely. We have an offensive player on the bench in England. You're right. I think he should have came on, but he didn't. Mason the Giant Fish ate from it. What are you talking about? Moyes isn't playing Mbama. A huge giant build. What are you talking about? Narky said I really enjoyed that match. Would have liked to see a win, but I'll take the draw. And I agree with you, Narky, mate. I did actually thought it was quite an enjoyable game, and I genuinely don't think I felt massively threatened. I really didn't feel massively threatened by Spurs. Today we are running our players into the ground. We are, but they've only got, what have we got? 9? Is it 8? 8 games left. What is it? What have we got left in the Premier League? Let me have a look here. Yeah, so we've got 8-7. Holy shit. 29, 30, 31. God, we've played the most games so far this season. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so that plus, for me, every one of them is a cup final. Every one of them is a cup final. Just quit already, Macaulay. Can someone tell JWP that he can pass forward, please? Right. Big DJ Russie B is in the house. Let's bring him in all the way from the London Stadium. Russie B.
Oh, I don't like these 8:15 games, I tell you. Jesus.
25 past 10, and we're still on talking about our beloved West Ham. Russ, 1-1 at home against Spurs. Question for you, mate. Did you ever really feel a massive threat coming from Spurs today?
The last 15 minutes, I did, if I'm honest. The last 15 minutes, they were really pressing. And you know how creaky our defence is and how immobile they can be sometimes. You're thinking, particularly when Richarlison comes on, Kulusevski comes on, you've got Son there, you've got Brennan Johnson, you've got Sarr, you've got so much pace, you've got so much trickery, so much little 1-2s. There's about 15-minute period in the second half, I thought, but once you rode that, I was a little bit more sort of confident. And to be honest, we played for the draw towards the end, didn't we? There's a couple of times where the ball came in, Fabianski sort of could have released it quickly, but decided not to, checked, and then went for the long ball. So, look, a point. I said 2-2, 1-1, could have been different. Antonio scored.
I mean, what an opportunity. What an opportunity for Antonio, who I thought, again, had a great game in a West Ham shirt tonight at home. I thought he'd done his job up there. He held the ball up really well. He caused them threats. And to be honest, when I've looked at, it's an interesting one because we're having this kind of debate in the chat about stats. If you look at the ball possession stats, that's 67% possession to Spurs, to West Ham's 33, but from that 67%, it wasn't a real loaded performance from Spurs. Spurs didn't deserve the win tonight. But not saying West Ham deserved the win tonight. They're saying equally, everyone's saying it's a fair result. If you think about the chances created and the opportunities that both teams had, I feel like there was only really one, apart from the goal itself, there was one kind of clear-cut chance that I kind of maybe shot myself at with Spurs, and that was near the end when he glanced the shot wide when he knew, he should have done better. I think that was from, wasn't Zouma, who was it?
Was it
the doggy. It was a doggy.
Yeah.
But when you look at our chances at the end, firing balls at the keeper, the defenders blocking it for Spurs, and then Antonio with that 1-on-1 chance against the keeper. Again, it goes back to that story, and you look at him against Newcastle last week. What a great finish, 1-on-1 with the keeper. But then tonight he panics, mate. But you had seconds. He had longer than that. He had 5, 6, 7 seconds to take that chance.
And that's the trouble. That's the trouble with him, isn't it? When he has time to think, he's a very good reactionary player. But when he has time to think, he was clean through. He almost overthinks things. It's frustrating because if Bowen was in that position, or Kudus, would have been a goal without a shadow of doubt.
What do you think of this comment here from Tougher Brendan? It was not a low block. Sorry, it was not low block. There was attacking intent. So I'm fine with 32% in this game. Do you agree?
It wasn't a complete low block from Wiz, but there was definitely times where we let them have the ball. There was definitely times where we sat back and brought them onto us, which again, that was probably the bit I was worried about. But when we had the ball, it was, reasonably, there was clearly a game plan, wasn't it? In terms of trying to get the balls over. How many times did we try and get the ball over for Antonio or Bowen to run onto? But it just kept on getting nicked in by a defender or just not being slightly overrun. The wet pitch made a massive impact that first half. Still sort of spitting now, but nothing like it was during the first half. And I just thought at times we didn't adapt to the playing surface much. If it was slightly overhit, the fact was it was a bloody wet pitch. Spurs as well, they hit quite a few overpass. wasn't a vintage Spurs side either in terms of a match today for them. And you're probably right. Yeah, draw was probably a fair result, to be honest.
It's quite interesting hearing your kind of analogy of the game, to be honest, because it's similar probably to the chat that 50% of the chat seem to be quite happy with what happened there. And 50% of the chat are going, we're at home, we need to take the game to Spurs. But I think there's a balance, a fine balance. You're coming up against a side like Spurs who like to play the ball forward, who are going to come with an attacking intent. But what they have shown and have always shown is defensive frailties. And the similarity between this game tonight and the game against Tottenham at Tottenham was the fact that there wasn't really any threat inside that 18-yard box. West Ham always really defended as a unit well tonight. And someone said it in the chat. I don't know who it is. I'm trying to find it. There it is there. It's in front of me. Dinos has grown in confidence. He was rock solid today. He was.
Yeah.
And so was Zouma. Zouma.
Yeah.
And
Zouma,
I said it in the thing. I can't get my head around. I can't work out Zouma as a person. I can't get it. I don't know. 1 minute he looks like he needs a fucking wheelchair. And he I don't know, he just doesn't look okay, doesn't look like he can walk. And then the next minute he steps up and he gives a performance like that. I think that was his best performance in the West Ham shirt this season.
But also the fact is he played 90 on Saturday as well. Do you know what I mean? It's Tuesday. So, you know, I know.
Ross, I'm going to let you talk for a second. I'm just going to listen to Moyes.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, in terms of Zouma, yeah, it was. I mean, I was fearful with Zouma in the middle. He didn't get Son, but to be fair, Son hardly had a sniff of the game, if I'm, being totally honest. And I think Zouma had him in his pocket most of the game. He played that blocking role really well. He was the last line of defence. Anything that was coming over, he was the one getting the last leg on, getting the last hit. And obviously get the goal as well. Quite fortuitous. I think he knew he scored the goal, to be honest, until it went in. But yeah, it was like Anton's right. It was like, where was that performance been recently? He looked like he's on the last legs, and then he's pulled one out like that today. Incredible result, incredible performance.
Just interesting listening to Moyes there. So she's saying disappointed that Antonio didn't put the ball away, but thought it was a fair result, and it was good to. He said that as Zouma said, it's a result that will give the players a bit of confidence, and we can't underestimate Spurs, because all we hear from every pundit everywhere is Ange ball. And I really think
Good point, Blake. That's a good point.
Yeah. And we've kept them at bay. And this comment here from Seager, we're seventh, boys, and held Spurs again. Happy days. And 4 points. 4 points from Spurs this season. It's not a bad return. I know it's not just about 2 games, but it's a big London derby. And honestly, so many, it's funny. It swings and roundabouts. And this is what the disappointing side of being a West Ham fan is. You turn up and you don't do a job against, say, like Sheffield United, who have been really struggling this season. And you don't get the points that you expect to get off Sheffield United, but then you get the points off the teams you don't expect to get it off of. And that's just typical of West Ham, innit? Wait till Russ comes back. It's what we needed after Newcastle set their nerves and regain confidence for the run-in, especially after going 1-0 down so earlier on. Go girl. Some credit should go to Sufa for this poor performance against Newcastle. West Ham are still in there. We've got 2 games in hand on Man United and 3 points behind. Let's just have a look here. Sorry, they've got 2 games in hand on us. 7 game left. Maltese Hammer says 1 positive. We didn't lose. Good game by Sufal. Just waiting for Russ to come back in. We have to surrender possession late in the game because we have no bench, and that is Moyes. Anyway, held tight. 255 goals against. That's good. Got any Buccaneer Maltese Hammer? Did a West Ham fan give you a Hammer shirt at Malta home game years ago? There you go, former season ticket holder in the chicken run. Feels like 2 points dropped. Bones would have finished that Antonio chance. I think because of that chance, Russ, I'm not fully satisfied because of that clear cut chance from Antonio. That's the only kind of thing. I'm like, oh my god, it's so clear cut. Put it away.
It is, and also looking at the other results now, because that's what we've got to do now. We have to look at the other results, particularly if we have more games than had. Wolves dropping points where they should have won. Newcastle dropping points as well. You think, Man United dropped points at the weekend as well. We dropped points. it was just frustrating because it would have been a really good opportunity to, if we'd win, just to get a little bit closer to Man United, a little bit further away from Newcastle and Wolves. Obviously, we play Wolves on Saturday, which is going to be a huge game for us.
It's definitely concerning though the lack of depth. Tonight was, I know we've known it, but tonight was a clear cut message that depth is massively a struggle, especially when you look at the 5 substitutions that Spurs brought on for fresh legs. So we got Danny Ings ready, but we didn't bring him on in the end. But yeah, that's concerning because we've got a big run in coming in, and obviously we are running these players into the grounds. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. But that's it. They're gonna have to work their backsides off for now. True. And as someone said in the comments, thanks to Calvert-Lewin tonight for getting a penalty, scoring a goal, and keeping Newcastle at bay.
Exactly.
It does make you disappointed because we're so far against Newcastle and could have done it on Saturday. But Russ, right. give me some of your thoughts. I'll leave over to you.
I think it is. I think a point was a fair result of the game, but we should have got 3. I think that's it. It was frustrating. I thought, we had the measure of Spurs. There's a period I was really worried about it, but you're totally right in terms of the lack of squad depth. It really showed today. When Spurs can bring on the likes of Kulusevski, they can bring on Sarr, they can bring on Richarlison, and we couldn't even bring on anyone. We couldn't even bring on Cornet. Do you know what I mean? You could have thrown him on for the last 10 minutes and moved, Kudus into the middle, take Antonio off. But at the end, the one thing that worried me at the end was literally every outfield player was West Ham was on the floor at the end. So they're going to be fucked. So they've got now 4 days to recover, 4 or 5 days to recover for the Wolves game, which is going to be huge. We've got to get 3 points against them at Molineux. We have to. We really have to.
The funny thing is, when it comes to this comment here, Ings and Corney should have come on. It's funny because Corney is another shout. When you've got tired legs, last 10 minutes, man, throw him on up top because he can play that striker role. We showed. They were worried about the pace. They doubled up on Bowen. They doubled up on Kudus all the time. They were genuinely worried. If Antonio at 60 minutes looked gassed, then bringing on Cornet for half an hour, move it all around, which they took. I mean, they moved it around. They put Antonio on the right wing, on the left wing. It's like, well, I have to give. The funny thing is, though, I know that, but the other thing is, I've got to give Antonio credit because what he'd done tonight is he's done the 90 minutes, 34 years old, and he's smashing it right now, and he's turning up and doing an all-round job. You know what? If he got that goal, Russ, tonight, he'd be walking away with man of the match. Well,
if he'd got the goal,
if he got the goal, we'd have got man of the match. Kudus was phenomenal.
He would have got man of the match, and he would have got a rest because they would have taken him off and put on a defender. So it was his own fault. He played the extra half hour. It was his own fault.
Absolutely. Right, everyone. That brings an end to our highlights review show. I hope you've enjoyed watching the Matchday Live with myself, and obviously the highlights review of myself and Russ for the Spurs game. We will give you some reaction over the next couple of days, probably tomorrow, on the game tonight as we prepare ourselves for the weekend game against Wolves. It comes again. It's never ending, and then preparing for next week for the big European tie, of course. Away in Leverkusen, and then it just all kicks off. So fingers crossed we can keep the faith, and fingers crossed we can get something and keep on some form of momentum. Russie B, final word from you.
Roll on Wolves. Bring it on. We needed urgent performance today, and we got it.
Come on, you Irons.